plan?
Move in.
Is City on a Hill based on a true story? City on a Hill is based partially on a true story. The show tells a fictional story, however, the backdrop it is set against is very much real. It also incorporates certain real incidents, fictionalizing them to best suit the show's narrative. The series is set in the early 1990s and deals with the crime and corruption in Boston during the era, taking inspiration from the various events in the city that led up to the Boston Miracle.
We thought, like everybody else, that this was a generation that was going to be lost to jail and violence, and that they were hopeless.
The show's origins can be tracked back to Ben Affleck's film The Town, which is based on the Charlestown armored car robberies. Affleck extensively researched Boston's history for the project and came up with a rough idea for the television show in the 19th Boston. He presented this idea to Chuck McLean, who further developed the concept and designed much of the show's story, characters, and the world.
That it came along and made money is it was a thrill for me. I really appreciated it and it mattered a lot, and I'm really quite grateful to every single person who bought a ticket.
The City on a Hill begins in the aftermath of a shocking true crime case that rocked the streets of Boston in 1989. This case is the renowned Charles Stewart case, which continued to fuel the city's social-cultural conflicts and violent criminal activities for a good part of the next decade. On October 23, 1989, Charles Stewart and his wife were allegedly shot by an assailant while driving home from their childbirth classes. Stewart was shot in the stomach and his wife, Carol, was shot in the head. Carol passed away shortly after she was taken to the hospital. In his subsequent police statement, Stewart said that he was shot by a black man and provided a description based on which the BPD organized a manhunt. A suspect, William Bennett, was identified by Stewart as the assailant. However, Stewart's brother, Matthew, identified Stewart as the killer and provided the police with crucial information that led them to recover the murder weapon and incriminate Stewart. The radical measures, including the indiscriminate stop and frisk tactic and the false murder allegations against the black man, created racial tensions in Boston. The incident also created a rift between the local police and the black community. This tension is ever present in the show.
What? Hey, come on.
The armored car robberies in Charlestown are the central conflict of the show's first season. These are likely inspired by the real-world gang of Stephen Burke, Patrick McGonigal, Anthony Shea, Michael O'Halloran, and Matthew McDonald, who committed various robberies from a period between 1990 and 1994. During one of their heists, they also murdered 2 guards. The gang was convicted and Stephen's brother John testified against him in the trial. All these events factor into the show, with the show dramatizing them and taking certain liberties. In the show, the perpetrators of the robberies are apprehended in the 1992, but in reality, they weren't caught until 1996.
Yeah, I killed Kelly Konecki
And why would you do that?
because he was a state police informant.
It is possible that the characters of Jackie and Ward are also inspired by the real people living in Boston during the 90s. The character of Ward is likely based on the first black district attorney of Suffolk County, Ralph Martin, who was appointed to the position in 1992. Unlike the character, Martin did not arrive from Brooklyn and instead has been practicing law in various cities in Massachusetts for almost 5 years. The origins of the character Jackie Rohr are slightly harder to trace. The first episode hints that Rohr has connections to the real-world, now deceased, gangster James Whitey Bulger, the former FBI officer John Connolly, H. Paul Rico, and Dennis Condon, all of whom allegedly had ties to the mobster and worked in the Boston area during their careers, likewise serve as inspirations for the character of Rohr.
A crusader threatens that way of life. Your way of life.
Yet I'm here, ain't I?
Lastly, during development, the show was delivered to be a fictional retelling of the Boston Miracle. However, the show is set in 1992 and the Boston Miracle took place in 1996. It was a city-wide patrolling program aimed at reducing youth gun violence in the city. The show deals with the events in Boston, such as the racial tension and increased violence that results in the need for the program also known as Operation Ceasefire. It is possible that the show could adapt the events of the Boston Miracle in a future season. In conclusion, City on a Hill is a fictional story that looks at real-world events and people as inspirations to create an intriguing and entertaining drama.
Fucking vultures.
City on a Hill filming locations. City on a Hill is set in Boston of the 1990s, and its history plays an important role in the show. The era-appropriate depiction of Boston seen in the show is thanks to the production's crew decision to film on location in Boston, Massachusetts. However, the primary location for filming is New York, and most of the show's production takes place in the city. Let's take a detailed look at the show's filming locations. Boston, Massachusetts. Boston is the capital of Massachusetts and the primary setting of the show. Filming of the show partially takes place in the city, mostly on locations. In the show's first season, a few scenes featuring vintage cars were filmed at the Beach Street as well as John F. Fitzgerald's Surface RD in Boston. Filming of key sequences also took place at the Boston City Hall located at the First City Hall Square, Boston MA 02201. For Season 2 of City on a Hill, scenes were also filmed at the Massachusetts State House located at the 24th Beacon Street, Boston MA 02133, and the building appears as it is in the show. Additionally, exterior shots are filmed in the Chinatown and Financial District, Boston.
What is 138 feet tall and weighs 200 million pounds? Yep, it's Boston City Hall.
Steiner Studios, New York. Steiner Studios, located in the Brooklyn Navy Yard precisely at 15th Washington Ave, Brooklyn, is the show's primary filming location. It is safe to say that most of the production on the show, filming and otherwise, is based out of the studio complex. The show's interior scenes are filmed on the sets built at the production facility, which is spread over 20 acres and consisting of 17 sound stages.
Some of your stages, because you're able to, load in trucks through the front, whole sets. I don't think people understand how massive these things are.
The stages are column-free so that the production designer gets a script, he can design whatever he wants, doesn't have to worry about columns or walls.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notifications about our latest videos. Westchester County, New York. The show's cast and crew shot scenes at various locations within the Westchester County of New York, which stands in for Boston neighborhood seen in the show. The locations are changed slightly or transformed entirely by the crew to aesthetically match the 90s setting. New Rochelle and White Plains are the two of the most important areas in the county used for filming the show. Some of the scenes in the first two seasons were filmed in the Hudson Park area of New Rochelle, including the Dudley's Park U restaurant, aka the Water Grill, located at the 94 Hudson Park Road. The crew also filmed scenes in the South Broadway and Mamaroneck Avenue, parts of the county, for Season 2. Additionally, scenes for Season 2 were filmed outside of the Michellian office building located at the 148 Martin Avenue, White Plains, and the American Express office on William Street in White Plains.
Wait, that's not an AK-47, is it?
Let's hope it was all worth it.
Other locations in New York. A few sequences in the second season were also filmed in the Bronx neighborhood of New York City, located just south of Westchester County, specifically at the E229th Street and E229th Bronx. Other parts of the neighborhood have also likely been utilized to shoot some scenes. Filming also occurs in the Staten Island, including at 75 Vanderbilt Avenue, Staten Island, and in and around Tappan Park on Bay Street.
There's no hell. There's only this life, right here, right now. And the last thing that you're gonna see in your lousy life is my ugly fucking face.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure to give the video a like and subscribe with that bell on to get notified as soon as one of our videos comes out.